Welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so delighted we're spending this time here today. We have a very empowering show coming right up with special guests, Vincent Genna, and he's here to share with us the purpose of gratitude. Now, many of you will remember Vincent. He's been on the show before. He's a renowned psychic medium, healer, respected spiritual teacher, and dynamic animated speaker who receives and deciphers messages from the other side. Vincent's readings uncover the heart of what's holding you back in life and provides actionable solutions so you can stop stopping yourself. Vincent transcended a youth of emotional, physical, and sexual abuse, and for the past 29 years, he has dedicated all of his talents to inspire people to believe in themselves so they can use their gifts to fulfill their dreams. So let's welcome to the show, Vincent Genna.
Oh, Marianne, thank you so much for having me back again. It's always wonderful to be on your show and have some great conversation with you.
Oh my goodness. I always love the time we get to spend together. You're probably one of the most gifted people I know. And then to talk about gratitude, I'm so excited we're talking about this topic.
And especially since we really just, had celebrations here in the U.S. about gratitude and thankfulness. It's really important to understand what we should be thankful for, Marianne, and that is a topic that I speak about, and I don't know if anybody else talks about it, but it's so funny. Sometimes it even sounds to others as egotistical, but it's not.
Well, it's really important that when people understand what they're grateful for, they kind of get a sense of, am I being grateful for the right things? And do you feel that people sometimes are just grateful for the wrong things?
Absolutely. And that's the whole reason why I wanted to discuss gratitude and thankfulness and the fact that for most people, they're thankful for the wrong reasons. And I was too, until I realized what it is. First of all, to have the right appreciation for the meaning of gratitude and thankfulness, we have to understand what is it really for? What is thankfulness and gratitude? What does gratitude do for us? There's a whole book that was written. Oh my gosh, help me out, Marianne, the author of The Secret. Rhymes.
Oh, Rhonda.
Rhonda, not Rhonda Rhimes. I'm thinking of Scandal, who wrote Scandal.
But yeah, The Secret. We all know The Secret.
I know The Secret. Well, actually, The Secret, she wrote a follow-up book on gratitude, and in it was all these, I think it was like 31 or 30 days of gratitude exercises. Right. And everything always speaks about having gratitude, for your life, having gratitude for your friends, having gratitude for, the job that you have, having gratitude for having money and having gratitude for good health and gratitude that God gave us opportunities to create all we want and gratitude for. So it's always thankful, 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 thankful. As a matter of fact, there's an entire religion. My wife is Jewish. And it's so funny because, since we've been together for 47 years, I attended some of her family events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, some of the other celebrations whenever her mom and the family went to temple. And we were there, And what we noticed is throughout an entire service, and they have long services there, all they were saying was thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for this. Thank you, God, for that. Thank you, God, for this. Thank you, God, for that. Now, if I'm up in heaven there and I'm God, I'd get pretty sick and tired of listening to all of this thankfulness. That would be like you and me getting on the phone and every time that something good happened, calling our parents up and saying, we just wanted to thank you again for giving birth to me. Thank you so much for that. I just want to point that out. Mom, thanks. Or my kids calling me up. I got a promotion today at work. Thank you so much, Dad. Thank you so much, Mom, for everything that you get. And I'm like, okay, stop already with the thank you. You know how you thank me? Go out and live a wonderful life. Go out and make something of yourself. So I kind of feel at times, Marianne, that we're throwing in the formalities of thank you to make up for the lives we're not creating for ourselves. So we're thankful, as long as I'm thankful. And think of and the feeling behind the thankfulness and the gratitude. This is the point that I'm trying to make. The gratitude that most people are expressing today comes from a point of, I'm so fortunate to have this life. You're so fortunate to have this life? Why? You don't deserve it. You're lucky you have this life. You lucky that you have your family. Do you feel lucky that you got this job? Or did you help to manifest it? Did you help to create it for yourself? So there is this, and I'm going to use the word humility, the way it's been used in the world today, which is the wrong way, humility. It's humbling. It's a humbling experience. You know what that always means? It brings me down to the fact that I'm just a lowly human being here. That is how people use the word humility. So if you have that belief about humility, then when you're grateful, you're connecting it with that and saying, I'm so fortunate as a lowly human being to have this life. And I'm going to prove that statement to you, Marianne, as we continue to talk about how people say thank you, truly. But that's where I'm coming from, is the gratitude that people are experiencing today comes from the place of how fortunate I am, this lowly being, this only human, I'm only human, with all these mistakes that I make, with all my disparities and choices that aren't so necessarily great. I'm so fortunate then to have all of this in my life. And so it evokes a feeling not of power, not of empowerment. It actually puts us in a less of a state than we're supposed to be in as beings. You know, when I look at the spiritual masters that were here, there was only one time Jesus put himself down on his knees. And it had nothing to do with lowering himself to God. No, he was at his wit's end. He was scared. He got down on his knees, scared. You know how we collapse our bodies? Sometimes we collapse it and we get down and go, oh my God, I can't believe this is so wonderful. This is so great. Yeah, I watched all the television reality talent shows. I love them. And I see so many of these incredibly talented people, right? They get chosen by the judges or they're sent to the next round and they just fall down with this feeling of, oh my God, this is incredible. This is incredible. But it also is a feeling of, look at me, lowly me, that I made it this far, rather than an expectation, right? So Jesus became human at that moment when he was by himself, moments before he was about ready to be arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane, and threw himself down. You know, he just fell down. He was like, does this really have to happen? Is it really going to prove anything? Is it going to make a difference? I know that this is the route I chose. He never said that you chose for me. He never said that. He chose it himself. God would never, have sent his only begotten Son. We are all his children, its children. It was Jesus' choice to go through what he went through for us. That's where the love was. That's where the caring was. But he just got down at that moment and felt terrible and felt scared. That was the only time. Every other time he was talking with God, he was standing up, proud, with his head held high. Raise your head to God, not lower. Don't bow to me. Matter of fact, somebody threw himself on his knees and called right in front of Jesus and called him Lord. And Jesus told him, get up. Don't call me Lord. I'm not your Lord. Don't get down on your knees to me. There's no need to get down on your knees. And anytime he spoke about God and happiness, humility is your ability actually to recognize your own greatness as well as the greatness of others. That's what humility is. So today, when we're grateful for things, we're grateful in the humbling way that humans define humility, throwing themselves down, rather than uplifting themselves to look at the life I helped to create and the power I used to create that with. That's when you can thank God. So I came up with a whole bunch of, the positive reasons of being grateful rather than the negative ones. And you want to hear some of those negative ones?
I would love to hear that because I think a lot of times people get stuck in the negativity, not realizing the impact their words and their thoughts have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can hear it every day. And a matter of fact, with the coronavirus going around, you can even hear it. Oh, my God. Thank God I didn't get sick like him. Oh, my God. Thank God. It could have been worse. It could have been worse, right? Thank God I'm not as poor as that guy on the street. Holy cow. Oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for not letting me have a life like that. Thank you. So we wind up being thankful for what hasn't happened to us. That is one negative thankful. Thank you for not allowing crap to happen to me. What a thing to be thankful for. Yeah, I'm so grateful that I don't have that sucker's life. Oh, boy. That's really bad. I must be doing something right. We're thankful for that. Or we're thankful we were taught. I know, Marianne, you're going to say you've heard this too. So I can't tell you how many times I heard, you better eat everything on your plate. You should be lucky you have all of that. Do you know that there are poor, starving children in the other parts of the world?
Oh, my God. I actually got in trouble for that one because I replied, can't we mail them this food then? I got in so much trouble for that.
I did the same thing. Let's send it to them then. Send it to them. They'll appreciate it more than I will. But that's the type of stuff that's ingrained in us, and our religions did it too. I am a sinner. Thank you for helping my soul to get stronger. Thank you. It's all of this stuff about us being weaker or us being bad. You should be thankful you don't have her as a mother. Or how would you like to, those clothes that you're wearing? You should be grateful that I got them for you. There are other kids walking around that don't have clothes like you. And it's always an obligatory. Is that the word for obliging? Obliged? Isn't that the word obligatory? I don't know. I may be saying the wrong word. For some reason, all of a sudden, it just hit me that could be the wrong word. But whatever the case may be, what I'm trying to say is that it's instilled in us that we're obliged to say, we have to say we're grateful. Otherwise, we'll lose something. And since the beginning of time, that's exactly why they had holidays and traditions of thankfulness. As a matter of fact, they also sacrificed out of thanks, whether it be the sheep, the lamb, the goat, whatever they sacrificed. Some tribes sacrificed people. We're so grateful you're not destroying us and setting our place on fire. So here's a life. Here, take this life and not ours. We're thankful. So since the beginning of time, we've had the wrong attitude about gratitude and thankfulness. And then every Thanksgiving, get this, I love this. Every Thanksgiving, every family, or a majority of families, or people who have families, get together, and all they do is argue. See, that was a family calling. And what do? They get into fights. They argue. The dysfunctional family that you come from or came from in some of these families, right? The ones that you complain about, you all get together because it's absolute tradition. Got to get together for the holidays. You get together for Thanksgiving. And right after you had a fight with your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your aunt, your uncle, you complained about your old grandmother and grandfather, you sit down at the table to break bread with each other and go around the table, and now everybody say what you're thankful for. It's such a hypocrisy. No wonder why we're creating the lives we're creating, but there is a feeling, and I bet you know that feeling too. When you are grateful for the right things and the right reason, I don't even know if people understand why they're supposed to be grateful. What do you think, Marianne? Do you think people know why they're supposed to be grateful and why it helps?
I don't think people really understand all the complexity that goes behind gratitude. I think they think maybe it's a polite thing to do, but from an energetic level, there's so much more that goes to that.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Right? When kids just went trick-or-treating back in October, right? And Halloween, and that new way that they had to go, people left it at the table. But back in the old days, when you knocked on the door, you always had your parent, mom or dad, turning around saying, make sure you say thank you. When they give you that, make sure you say thank you. So they say thank you. They have no idea why they're saying thank you. Isn't this the holiday that you go knocking on doors and everybody gives you candy and stuff like that and treats? Isn't that what's supposed to happen? Why am I saying thank you for something that's supposed to happen? There is a reason why we should say thank you. Thank you. Because it acknowledges not just the other person's act, but yours. Yours. Because of how gratitude, we're supposed to be grateful, or let's remove the word supposed. It's good to be grateful because of how it makes us feel as people. And the feeling we experience, we then replicate again and again and again. When I say thank you to God, I'm not thanking God for having made the choices. I'm thanking God for giving me life and the will to make my own choices. Because then the choices that I'm making is what is manifested in my life. Not the choices God made, not the choices Jesus made, not the choices my mother made, not the choices my father made. The choices I am making manifests my life. That's different, isn't it?
It has a completely different energy. And especially coming from someone as gifted as you can see on the other side the differences between this. And, I could see when you're discussing about this, how all makes sense. A lot of times people aren't staying within their personal power. They're giving their power away. And it's a totally different energy than how we should be doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we shouldn't be thankful for the things that are supposed to happen. Okay. Like when parents have children, the parents should be saying, thank you. Thank you for making the choice to have these children because they bring me such joy. Thank you for me in making the choices that I have the money to feed my children, that I can feed my children and keep them safe and keep them comfortable and help them to develop a happy, joyful life. You know, that's a little bit different than making sure your children thank you for the food they're eating. You're responsible for them. You're supposed to be giving them that food. What happened to unconditional love? There's no unconditional love if you require a thank you or appreciation for what you chose to do to start with. And that's the reason why God He doesn't want you to be grateful because of what he gave you. And I said he, she, that's old, Catholic uprearing in me. But I know it's a non-gender power. But when I look at myself and having had children, my two children, and they, Father's Day, birthdays, and they give you the cards and they write out those things then. And throughout the year, they'll say different things. Thank you. Thank you for the example that you gave me. You gave me so much that I can live from. Right. That is definitely a different kind of a thank you than, thank you for all the wonderful gifts you gave me growing up at Christmas time and my birthday. They were so good. I remember, all the presents you gave me. It's a different kind of a thank you when I'm thanking God. God, thank you for, how do I say it? I want to say it. I want to put it in a way. It evokes such a feeling within me that is different. Thank you that we're family. Thank you. I'm not thanking you because I know you created us because you didn't want to be alone and you wanted to share what you knew life could be. You wanted to share that with other living entities besides yourself. That's a goodness in you. That's a goodness in you. So I know that us being created wasn't strictly for us. It was for you too. And the life that I wind up creating is for you too, because you get the joy out of that. So the gratitude then is an acknowledgement of the feeling you get from being able to do all of that, for that being able to happen, and the options you have and the opportunities that you have. I'm grateful for the opportunities of life. I'm grateful, even though that's why the lowliest of people in their living, they could be a homeless person who is homeless not by choice, because there are some homeless people. We got to remember there are some homeless people by choice. But the ones that didn't choose to get down there, they still have the opportunity, and gratitude is an acknowledgement of what you have to be able to create the life you want with. And that's the reason why we can all be grateful. And the more gratitude you feel, then you're acknowledging your true beliefs. So you don't want to say thank you, like you said, because you're trying to be polite and nice. You're saying thank you because you believe. You believe in who you are. You believe in your divinity. You believe in the source. You believe that we're one family. You believe in all of that. Don't say thank you until you believe, because it falls by the wayside. It falls on unheard ears and power. And that's why most people's gratitude prayers are hollow.
Yeah, you can tell it doesn't come from that place deep inside them. You can feel if it's heartfelt. And if it's something that they're just saying because, they figure, okay, I need to say this real quick, so I get the things I want, or, because it's what I've been taught to do in these different self-help books, it's a totally different feeling than when it comes from the heart.
Totally different. And it's a total different feeling, and the energy that you put out from you. When I say thank you to my wife, I'm not thanking her for being my wife. I'm not thanking her for saying I do to me. She had every right to say I do to me. I mean, when you believe in yourself enough, then you don't think you're fortunate that you happen to have a good person in your life as a partner. You expect it. What I'm grateful for is I'm grateful that we can create these experiences together. I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for the belief I have in you and the belief you have in me. It's still different. It's acknowledging, it tells the other person also. So it's part for you in acknowledging what you've done, and it's part for them to acknowledge what they've done. Makes them feel good in that way. Like when somebody says thank you to me, and same with you, Marianne, I'm curious. When somebody says thank you to me for helping to transform their lives, it validates that I've done some good work. But because I know where the thankful is coming from at times, I actually say back to them, well, you do know that without you, anything that I said and anything I would have done would have been meaningless if you didn't choose to apply it, if you didn't choose to accept it. So in your thanking me, make sure you acknowledge the fact that you put in as much, if not more work than I did in this. So we both get acknowledged then, for work I may have done to help somebody. Yeah, I could be doing 1,000,001 wonderful things. It's up to them in order to be able to apply that stuff. So my feeling of when I receive a thank you is I want them to feel what they've done and to have helped themselves, and it does it validates life. How do you feel when somebody says thank you?
Well, I love how you put that. My goodness. And you know what? And I think it's such an important thing because a lot of times people, if someone's saying thank you to you or thank you to whoever, a lot of times I'm sure you see this where ego gets stuck in the person that's being thanked. And they're like, oh, so great. And I love how you keep it so the people that you're working with keep their own personal power. At no point is that being diminished in any way with you.
Yeah. I'm glad you said it that way. Thank you. I never thought of it that way. There you go. I just said thank you. You see?
Well, you know what? It's because of you.
Right. See, and that's exactly. It's a two-way. That's the purpose of. Well, why do we say I love you? It's a two-way street with any communication. It's two ways. It's supposed to be a twofold communication. So we and the two phrases that are most commonly used on the face of the earth today is thank you and I love you or I love this. Love gets, oh my God, will you look at that flower? I love that. Oh my God, did you see the episode of This Is Us? I loved that episode. This is like, oh, I love you. Give me a hug. Oh, I love puppy dogs. And it's wonderful. I love pistachio ice cream. I love sugar. I will eat it all the time. I love, so the words, and oh God, whoever came up with cotton candy idea, I love you. Thank you. So we can use both those phrases in the same sentence all the time. And they get watered down. They get watered down now. Now, you say "I love you" to somebody that would say, "Well, do you love me?" And literally, I've heard this. Do you love me more than candied apples?
Oh,
I'm like,
you tell them that's a tough one.
That is a tough one. Yeah, depending upon who it is. Yeah, that's a tough one. I think the candy apples have it beat out. Sorry, but that's and then what does the person say in response? Oh, thank you. Thank you. So we can even use those phrases as sarcastic expressions as well. Oh, okay. You just broke my heart. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, yeah, I love you too. Not, so it's so funny because then when we say it, when we're meant to say it, it's lost. It really is lost its potency. It's lost its significance. And I think that that's what we wound up getting caught in over time. We may not be sacrificing lambs and during all our celebrations today. Well, actually kind of still do. And I know on Passover we'll, have possibly, we got a lamb shank on the Seder plate. So that lamb was sacrificed in some way. We still have our sacrificing. We still have our giving up. What do Christians do for Lent, for Jesus? They sacrifice. Thank you. So the thank you is not even enough anymore. You got to give something up if you're really grateful. Just see, and we have those examples, and that's because it's what we were taught. And most of our traditions today stem from old worldly religious beliefs, because that basically, those religious and philosophical practices came very early on in our lives, right? Back in the old days, when we were still maybe, living over in the Middle East and stuff, religion was the way of life. It was part of the way of life. Even the leaders were the prophets who spoke with God. So religion and life were never separated. A matter of fact, in today's society in the U.S., we actually had to state that the state and the church are separate. Why did we do that? Because King George over in England, he was using the church as excuses to mistreat the people. So when we got over here, our founding forefathers turned around and said, we're not going to let that happen again. So church and state, meaning church and government, have to be separated. So most of our practices then and our traditions then stem from religion. And most of our early religions taught us that we were lowly human beings. And then once Christianity came around, somebody came out and said that we were a sinner. Jesus never said that we were sinners. Jesus called us hypocrites. But the word sin was always meant to talk about, okay, the lower choices that we're making. You can change those lower choices. You don't have to stay making those lower choices. If you just knew who you really were, you can make higher choices and be grateful for making higher choices. Right? That's where the gratitude was supposed to take place, but we were always grateful for the wrong reasons. And I don't know how it's an easy turnaround, Marianne, but it's such a hard practice because of old set ways. I have a lecture out there called God and Your Ego Are One. Now, you and I today will use the word ego because it's just a used word. But my belief is, and my discoveries are, that ego has nothing to do with any of the mistakes we've ever made that spiritual people want to say. See, this is what I mean. I just finished saying that religion in the past pointed out our weaknesses, right? As sinners and only being humans, and we make mistakes and all of this stuff, right? As sinners, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're into New Age and New Thought understandings and philosophies, and that we're all magnificent beings, that God is in us, with us, as us, that we don't need to be saved, we're saved already. All these wonderful new concepts, which are in a lot contradiction to some of the old world religious beliefs that we're sinners. You're not a sinner. No, Jesus did not have to come down here to save us. There was nothing to be saved. We're all wonderful beings. We just have to remember that. And if we start thinking positive thoughts, we'll create a positive life. However, those luminaries who brought that old world knowledge back and awakened it again into contemporary times still threw in a caveat. Do you know what that caveat is? I'm just fooling around with you and seeing.
No, I don't, but I'd love to hear it.
Hey, Marianne Williamson wrote in her Course of Miracles books that, yes, we have the potential to be and act Christ-like, like Jesus. And then the next whole chapter was about how most likely we're not going to because our egos get in the way. And I'm like, holy moly. They had to come up with another reason why we're imperfect. Now, it's not because you're a sinner. They had to find some other reason. It's because of your ego. And having gotten my psychology degree and my clinical social work degree, I did a lot of study on that because I was going to school while I was a psychic. And so I had more in-depth curiosity. And in studying all of that about the ego has nothing to do. The ego is in your conscious mind, and all it does is truly just identify you as an individual and allows you to feel good about all the good things you've done. Okay? Ego is not the culprit. The culprit is your defense mechanism part of your brain, of your mind, which lies in your unconscious portion of your mind. Only 2 to 5% of the human mind is in conscious awareness. That means 95 to 98% of the mind is in unconscious awareness. So you're going to tell me that the only part that's conscious is causing most of your problems? No. Yeah, it can be fed by your conscious mind, but most of the problems are caused by what was ingrained and put into your unconscious mind, either by you or the messages you received from the environment. So it is not the ego that is getting in the way, but they have to come up with something. You see, it's so hard to get out of a human being. Now tell that human being who thinks their ego is the culprit and getting in the way, and you got to put that behind. Now tell that person you have to be thankful for you and the choices you're making. Oh my gosh, that's ego speaking. Oh, that's what a lot of the practitioners will call. Not all of them, they know me, but that's what they say about, no, Vince has a big ego. They don't even know what a big ego is. And it's created such problems in people that we have to constantly identify what is weak in us to keep us from getting stronger and evolving. So if you keep telling a child how bad that child is, don't you think that child is going to grow up with a lack of self-esteem, a lack of self-confidence, and start making bad choices? Doesn't that child have more of a chance of doing that than the child who's taught you're wonderful, you're magnificent? Okay, some days you're going to make some mistakes. It's okay. It doesn't make you any less of a being or a person. And if you remember that and believe in that always, you'll have the life that you want. So which one of those children have more of a chance of growing up positive?
Yeah, for sure. Right. I mean, you look at that, it just makes sense.
Well, the thing is, yeah, Marianne, I know, I believe that a lot of the things that I say make sense. It's a matter of now people having to believe that, not just me. My life is great. My wife's life is wonderful. We have incredible children. We see the proof of our beliefs. We've manifested those, and we continue to manifest. And every so often we'll fall and manifest something we don't like, but even that's not that terrible. Small things. I mean, goodness, I'm sure I shared the last one, but maybe I didn't. Back in 2017, I had a heart attack. Now, I had a heart attack, number one, because I wasn't paying attention to my cholesterol, my body. We're body, mind, and spirit. I tend to spend a lot of time on the mind and the spirit and ignore the body a little bit more. I figured it would just come along for the ride, but we have to pay attention to the body as well. I had done that earlier. We have high cholesterol in my family. I have normally high cholesterol, which means I have to pay attention to physical, eating the right things, taking care of myself, but also emotional, because since cholesterol can clog your arteries, so can the lack of self-belief and self-love, because physical is the result of everything emotional. But I have been putting in a lot of work. And so there was one period where I neglected to pay attention to both my emotions, that I was scared. I literally had a block of self-belief. And at the same time, I wasn't paying attention to my body. So I wound up having a heart attack. It was a 99% blockage in one of my major arteries right off the widowmaker. I should have been dead. That's what the doctor said.
Wow.
The outcome was that and I was walking around with that heart attack for 3 weeks. I know when I had it, and I know when I went to the doctor. Not one speck of damage to my heart. They want me to ignore the fact that I even had the heart attack. Yes, pay attention to the fact that I would still have high cholesterol if I don't take care of it. But they said, no damage. Your heart is so strong, it's pumping out more blood than most humans' hearts. So you don't have to be in a train wreck. You drive a car, you're going to get a flat tire. But that doesn't mean that you have to end up in a 6-car pileup. Why? Because I believe that, number one, I walk my talk as best I can. And if I'm not, I pay attention to it and do what I need to get back on that path. 2, I'm grateful for the right reasons. I'm grateful. Yeah. I don't look at my wife and say, thank you for choosing me. Yeah, I can thank her for being her. But I also thank myself for the choices that I've made to attract someone like her.
I think that says a lot about the life that you've manifested, not just for yourself, but for your family as well.
I believe that. And here's what I'm saying. This is where my humility comes in. I recognize my ability, my greatness, the gifts that were divinely given to me from the moment of my creation. And I acknowledge that for every other being as well. I am not special. By no means am I special, or was I a chosen one? We're all chosen. It's what we choose for ourselves that matters, not what God has chosen for us. God chose to give us life and then gave us every tool, everything we need to create as it has created. That's what's meant by, and we were created in its image. Now, I speak a lot about God. I speak a lot about spirituality. I want everybody to know out there, I am not a religious person. I do not follow any particular dogma or practice. Yes, do we celebrate the holidays and traditions? Yes, but that is part of the joy of life. It has nothing to do with, I am going to follow this ritual because it's the right thing to do or I'm supposed to. I feel my life is stronger when I acknowledge the power within me. And the power within me is called God. That's all. Like your heart. Why is it so difficult? We're able to list our body parts physically. Why can't we list our spiritual parts? And a spiritual part is that which we are connected to that empowers us. Even scientists today, I'm working with a couple of neuroscientists on a new show that I'm involved in. And the first thing that they say is, yeah, we know exactly where your brain is. And we can put probes all around your head and measure all the signals that are going in and out of your brain. But the one thing we cannot find and we will never be able to discover is your mind. Your mind is part of something else and not of your body. Your mind is part of your soul. And it will go with you wherever you go. And so the reason why I can speak spiritually, because my mind is attached to that which has been created for us. It's the battery, like the Energizer Bunny has strapped to its butt. You know, it's what powers everything here, and I'm part of that. And that is the part that I'm so grateful for. I'm grateful that life was created this way. And right now, when we're looking in the world with all the terrible stuff that's going on, I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to change that anytime we want. Now, will we? I'll tell you right now, I have no idea. And I'm a psychic. And if there's any psychic out there who can predict the future outcome right now, I would say that that's not a credible psychic. Because of free will, they on the other side don't even know what's going to happen. They do know in the end everything will be fine, because there is no destruction of our souls. There's only can be the destruction of this physical world and our physical bodies. That's all. There can be suffering. Absolutely. My care is more about the suffering, not the soul. It's the more we suffer, the further we get away from who we really are and our connection to something more powerful. So that's why I want people to learn what to be thankful for, because the more that they are thankful, the more they create and bring in. The more you acknowledge what's right about you and powerful about you, the more you will see life change. The more you feel terrible about what's wrong about you, the more you'll see that constantly occurring.
So, what are some things that our listeners can focus on and say right now that really drives the whole discussion of gratitude to a greater sense for themselves? What can they say when they want to be grateful for something?
Okay, I'm going to imagine that I've lost everything and everyone in my life, okay, including my home, that I am the worst of life right now, but I still have the capacity to think and make choices. So I'm going to imagine that. And what I say right now is coming from that person, okay? As hard as everything seems out here, and as hard as everything seems in my life, I am so grateful that I can open my eyes and still think. I'm so grateful that I can still choose to believe what I want to believe. I'm so grateful that my heart can still feel. And though it has felt a lot of hurt and a lot of loss, that loss and that hurt has nothing directly to do with my value and who I am. I'm so grateful that today I'm going to make a new choice. That today I'm going to believe that I have value, that I'm a seed, and in me is the ability to be a full-grown, fulfilled being, worthy being. And I'm so grateful that I can still impact other people's lives. Though I have made other people sad from looking at me and seeing what I've become, I'm grateful that I can inspire them by me becoming something different. I'm grateful that even where I am today, I am equal to the person on this planet that has everything. I am grateful that my belongings, that the number of people in my life don't define my value, that I define my value. I am grateful for this. I am grateful to the power that gave us the choices and the power to manifest and create all we want. And from this day forward, I choose to create what I truly am worthy of having. Amen.
I love that.
So, yeah, is that difficult for somebody who's, starving? I didn't say it was easy. I did not say it was easy. But when you make that kind of a choice to believe in that, you've just released the power of your soul. In order to have nothing in this world, you are putting out, or I should say, you are expending more energy by believing in that and by having manifested that than it is to believe that you're worth something. It takes more energy to be negative than it does to be positive, Marianne, and most people don't understand that. As a matter of fact, some sociologists would argue with me and say, oh, no, it's very natural. It's actually easy to be negative. No, it's not. The only reason why we're negative is we've gotten used to it, but it exerts much more energy. And the proof of that is in our own makeup. In the makeup of an atom, a proton is so positive that it could hold numbers of electrons around it, circling around it. It can hold it in, just like the sun holds in the planets circling and orbiting around the sun. A proton is so powerful, it's a positive charge, and an electron is a negative charge. And in every single one of our atoms, there's one proton compared to several electrons. And so therefore, that's proof right there that positive is much stronger than negative. So in order to have that much negative belief, you have to be putting in a tremendous exertion to be feeling that rather than allowing yourself to feel the positive. And that's what gratitude should be all about. The fact that you have that power to have something to be grateful for. And I challenge everybody to say that prayer. I actually created an empowerment prayer, and if people go to my website, they can download it or copy it. And it changes the serenity prayer. Even the serenity prayer that we hold on today gives away our power, right? God, grant me the serenity to believe. Wait, I don't even remember the real prayer anymore. You say it, Marianne, for me real quick.
I don't have that prayer either.
Sorry. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and the courage to change all that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. Okay, that's it. But that gives away our power. Accept the things I cannot change. No. So I changed it into, God, grant me the conviction to believe there is nothing I cannot change. The power to change, the courage to change all that I wish, and the wisdom to know what's best left the way it is. So it's not that we can't change anything. It's that there's just some things we shouldn't change. But we have the power to do all we want, and we have to start turning around our prayers of gratitude and thankfulness and understanding, and remove those words of limitation and start replacing them with words of empowerment. So thank you very much for allowing me to share that.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Vincent. I mean, it's always such a treat to spend time with you. I know you talked about your show or a show. I'd love for you to share, what do you have going on as far as shows are concerned?
Well, first of all, I am hosting a Unity online radio show. And Unity, of course, is New Thought spiritual movement like Science of Mind and Centers for Spiritual Living. And they have a large network. I'm one of the hosts with so many other wonderful hosts there. And that's on Wednesdays at noon Eastern time. Doing a ton of podcasts and educational I was going to say shows, educational classes on Zoom, of course, right now, all virtual. Everything is virtual, including my readings. And if people just go to my website at vincentgenna.com, and that's with a Genna, they can communicate with me there and link up to all the other places and social media connections, Facebook and things like that. But come listen to me on Unity show, and you can call in with questions or listen to all the old podcasts, kind of like you, Marianne. So, that's what I've got going on. Plus some things hidden in the works that I can't really talk about right now, which sound very exciting and will be released pretty soon, actually. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, that's what I've got going on for me a lot right now, including moving. I just sold my home. I'm packing it up and moving to a temporary location at the beach for 3 months, and then into our new home here in North Carolina, where I won't have to take care of the land at all. They will take care of landscaping, and I have more time to come online and teach more classes then, and to do more interviews.
Oh, well, I think that's so exciting, and I cannot wait to hear what you've got going on that you can't share quite yet, but I know you will as soon as you can. Where can our listeners connect with you? I know your schedule is extremely busy. I don't even know if you even have openings anymore for appointments.
Oh, I do have some. People can schedule it. It may be a month or two ahead of time, but that's okay. It's there, and there's always people that need to cancel and stuff like that. But again, if they go to my website, and there is a book now button or my services tab that pulls down and shows the different services that I do offer. Most right now, everybody is going with readings, be it a half hour, be it an hour. And included in that is the mediumship part. So not only do I see, and I'm pretty deep, Marianne, I'm different psychic medium than most, since I do have psychotherapy background. I can go all the way into the psyche of a person, see what's blocking them, show them what's blocking them, and give them the steps to turn it all around so that they can transform their lives. I am considered the big leap psychic and the tell it like it is psychic. If you're going to have a reading with me, it's going deep. And because we don't have time anymore to play around and just have these very surface kind of, oh, yes, you're going to get married. Oh, yes, you're going to have 3 babies in your marriage. Oh, yes. And I do see that Cadillac coming in too. That's so wonderful. Isn't that great? And great. No, I want to get in there and tell you what's keeping you from having all of your dreams fulfilled. And that's what's meaningful to me. What's keeping you from believing in yourself? That's where I go, where nobody else goes. What it was to Star Trek going
where no one has gone before.
Right, going where no one has gone before. That's where I go, and including where you haven't gone before. Because like I said, in that 95 to 98% of your mind that you have no idea what's going on in there, that's the place that I go to. So, and you can find that out at my website. Thank you for asking.
Well, I know spending time with you has always been extremely beneficial. I highly recommend that our listeners do the same. Vincent, what's your website that our listeners can connect with you and be part of your community?
That again is vincentgenna.com, and that's Genna. And yeah, as soon as you just type that in, it'll pop up. I'm pretty fortunate to have a great rating on Google. So I get a lot of my readings from Google searches besides word of mouth. So it's really interesting.
Well, Vincent, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Oh, Marianne, thank you for inviting me. And if it wasn't for people like you, how would I get my message out there anyway? I've got a big mouth, yeah, so I can get my neighborhood to hear. But in order for anybody else in the world to hear, there has to be people like you to be able to be willing to put my light out there into the world. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Vincent. It's always such a pleasure to spend time with you and to talk about the purpose of gratitude. And I know this is quite a different discussion than most people thought. Again, if you'd like to connect with Vincent, you can at vincentgenna.com for more information. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. You're listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.